All right, High IQ competition chicken trim 2023. I will typically buy at least 18 pieces if I can find the weights I'm looking for. I'm really looking for nothing less than 8 ounces per thigh. So as long as I find packages that average into that weight, then I'm pretty good. If I buy 18, I can end up with 12 that I can trim and cook. The first thing I'm going to do is pull this skin off of here, set it aside, and I'm going to come back to that here in a minute. I'm going to turn this around, and right here you'll see this vein sticking out here. Just reach in there, pinch it with your fingernails, and strip it out of there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square up this edge to the bone, or at least as close as possible. So I'm just cutting that parallel with the bone. And then I'm going to take this side off of here at a right angle to that as well. Get rid of that. Next thing we have to do is we have to get rid of the big knuckle. We're not going to do anything with the smaller knuckle, but this one over here, we're going to get rid of that so things lay a little bit better. So I'm going to kind of weasel my knife in right behind that big knuckle. I'm going to set my knife so it's nice and parallel, and I'm just going to give it a nice pop. One of the little tricks I learned over time is that the farther you're up on this part of the knife, the more leverage you have when you're popping the end of your knife, when you're pressing down, and it cuts a lot easier, and you end up with a lot less bruises on the side of your hand. I'm going to turn this over, and we'll clean up this edge on this side. You can just kind of scrape down, and there's a seam there where this kind of runs right in there. I'm going to take most of that off, but I'm also going to use that as a way to square that side of the thigh up to the bone as well. Little tiny piece of fat sometimes is right on the corner here, so I'll just kind of get rid of that. Now I'm going to take that thing, I'm going to roll it up, and I'm going to shape the ends of it a little bit. So I'm just going to trim that excess garbage off of there. Turn it around, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then I'm going to kind of take a look at it. So again, what we're looking at is we can see that it's a little bit smaller on this end than it is on this end, and that's because of this stuff down in here. So I can just kind of trim some of that off of there to kind of even things out a little bit, so that I end up with a nicer, flatter piece of chicken, and there you go. So that looks nice and good. So now we're going to deal with the skin. We're going to set that up there. We're going to spread our skin out, and I'm not going to necessarily going to scrape the skin, but I'm going to get rid of some of the big fat. So the fat on this side over here, I really don't need to worry about. I'm not going to probably be using that part of it anyway, but if I do, I can always come back and do it, or I can do it now. But this ridge of thick fat right here is really my main focus. That's what I'm trying to get rid of. This is the side of the skin that I am going to use. So I'm just going to take my knife and just fillet that fat off of there. The better job you do of keeping your skin tight will make your job here a lot easier. The second thing is having a pretty sharp knife really matters here as well. There's less work, things are more precise, and you'll end up getting this job done pretty simple. It's not complicated, not rocket science as we say. So I'll get rid of all that fat. That's just what I don't need, just necessarily rendering down into my smoker. I'm going to spread that stuff out a little bit, and then I'm going to square off the top edge here. I'm just going to score that, take that off, and I'm going to make a right angled straight line here, keeping as much of this as possible. So my knife literally is going to travel like right there. So I'm going to set that up in there. And take that off, so I have a straight edge at the top, straight edge on the side. Now I can set my thigh up here upside down. Rid of that piece of garbage out of there, I don't need that. About a 3/8 to 1/2 inch overlap is good. And then I'm just going to basically trim that off to the same size on the other side. This knife needs some work. I'm going to bring this edge up over the top where I want it, set it where I want it, and I'm going to trim this side basically to do the same. That's really just a matter of practice, knowing where that needs to be. You'll see that we have some little holes here. I don't care about that. You're never going to see those once this chicken is cooked and sauced and seasoned and all that. We're not going to have to worry about that. Set that up there and grab our next piece. So again, first step, get rid of the skin. Sometimes they do this where they don't separate those, but this one actually did. So I'm going to just reach in here, get this out of here. Some of this fat just comes right off of there. Reach my thumbs underneath there gently, being careful not to rip the skin. And I'm just going to separate this skin from the thigh. Again, being gentle so that I don't tear it. And we'll set it aside. We're going to turn it over. We're going to get our vein off of here. If you have a hard time gripping this, you can use a paper towel, and it'll make it easier to grab that. I just pinch it with my girly fingernails and it comes right out. You'll see here, I don't know what you call this. I call it the oyster. I've heard it called other things, but there's some silver skin on the top of this, and a lot of times I'll like to kind of just fillet some of that off of there. Just thinly get rid of some of that. Makes me feel better about my seasoning being accepted. All right, so again, we're gonna square off the top edge here, or bottom edge, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna square off the side here. And we're gonna get rid of our big knuckle. I'm gonna switch knives. You'll notice I'm using 2 knives. I use my expensive Schoen knife for the flesh, and I'll use my not so expensive Victorinox to do the bone. I want to get this up on this part of the blade here so that my leverage is working with me. I'm going to parallel that up. Just give it a little pop, and it comes right through there. Minimal bruising to my hand. Turn it over. Fix up this side here. I'm just going to kind of push that fat off to the side, square that up, comes off of there. Again, we're going to roll it up. I can already tell we're going to need to get into the inside of this one as well. So again, you can see that we're a little bigger around here on this end than we are on this end. So we're just going to open that up, and again, we'll just take some of this off of here and make that lie just a little bit more uniform across the entire thigh. That's better. Still a little big. Might take a little bit more of this off here. This just makes it so that when that piece of chicken cooks, it doesn't want to just go wonky on me. It'll maintain a better shape, so that looks pretty good there. Again, take our skin, lay it out. My bottom is here, my top is up here, bottom, top. Again, this side I'm probably not going to use. Here's that big piece of fat. Sometimes that is reversed and this side is on this side. I guess it depends on whether it's a left-handed chicken or a right-handed chicken. I don't really know. But now I'm just going to, again, fillet some of that fat off of there. Making sure to keep that skin tight so that my knife can do its work without creating wrinkles and tears and all that. That comes off. So that's all fat. That is nothing but fat. A lot of that would have rendered away during the cooking process, but that means it's rendering away into my pan or into my smoker, and we can just get rid of it. It'll help that thigh to cook a little bit more uniformly. It'll also help if you're having a difficult time with the bite through skin. That will definitely help you as well. Again, we're going to straighten out this top edge. You'll see I'm not really caring whether it's exact or not. Now I'm going to straighten out this side. Again, this is as far as the knife is going to go. I'm preserving as much of this side of the skin as I can. I'm going to turn that thigh upside down, set it on there. Half inch to 3/8 on this side, and I'm going to basically trim it to the same on this side. Straight down. lift this edge up over the top where we want it. And we're going to estimate where we need to cut this. Again, experience will do this for you. Eventually you'll just go look at it and go, yep, that's where it needs to be. If you have a little too much, not the end of the world. You always can unfold it and put it back. Roll that over, tuck my sides in, and there we have two pretty decent pieces of chicken. So that's the way I do it. It's High IQ Barbecue. It's July of 2023. We're getting ready for competition down in Iola, Kansas. One that we've done many times. Always enjoy it. Gonna miss my family this weekend. They're not gonna be there, but chicken trim, High IQ style. Thanks for watching.